Welcome to the Nerdtastic in 3D podcast.
It's Nerdtastic in 3D. Oh, it's Nerdtastic in 3D. Yes, it's Nerdtastic in 3D. It's Nerdtastic in 3D.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Nerdtastic in 3D, episode number 22. We are animation entertainment industry nerds talking about pretty much anything that we find entertaining or nerdy. My name is Jason Carter. To my left is... Skyping in.
I'm Jack Eckler.
Yeah. I am Josh Mother Awesome Lebrat.
And timing it perfectly, I'm your last member here, Adam McFarlane.
I'm not going to lie. I think I botched the pacing
I know.
too fast up front, slowed it down for the names. How's it going, guys?
It's good.
Good week?
Good.
Yay, another week has gone by. But
Wednesday.
it is kind of deceiving because we do record this on a Wednesday.
That is true.
And it does make it seem that we wish it was Friday.
God, we do.
Every time.
Every damn time. And it's never Friday.
No,
So
because then we would just get ripped.
I think I got a question we should start out
Just
for.
get ripped.
So
Hit
any guy who's into computers, home theater, anything is, there's probably a new trend that's coming up that's been developing for a while, which is basically the argument of wired versus wireless. Is it more valuable to have the convenience of not having wires all over your house and be able to seamlessly connect things all over the place, have a guest come into your house and have instant access to the internet? Or is it better to have wires that ensure better connectivity and faster connectivity? What are your guys' thoughts on this? Josh, why don't you start?
Well, I tried to look up one time because
Hey, guys.
for the most part, I think we lost Jack. Did we lose Jack? Jack,
Don't lose me.
Oh, he's back.
There we go.
Thank you.
He's back widescreen, everyone.
So,
As I was saying, crap, I lost it. But
Wired versus wireless.
yes,
you came across an interesting dilemma last night.
I did come across an interesting dilemma. I realized that I had run out of Ethernet cables trying to hook up a Apple TV box that somebody had given me, and I realized how many things I have connected wired through my house, and I would much prefer wired over
Absolutely.
wireless. And I only have one thing that's really wireless in my house, which is my Blu-ray player in my my bedroom.
And you actually use it wirelessly.
I do, because the only reason why is because it would just be a pain in the ass to just run a cable from all the way, through my living room, through the hallway, down into my to my bedroom, just to hook up a Blu-ray player.
And does it work? I mean, does it work okay wirelessly?
It does, but it's weird because I feel that right at the end of my house, right there, is when the wireless can get dodgy.
Yeah.
And that's where I've tried looking up how I can boost my wireless
Pringles cans. That's what I've heard.
Pringles can.
Yeah.
With strings in the middle?
No, I'm not shitting you. There is no. It's for a receiver. Like there's some hack that you can do that uses a Pringle can like an antenna, and because of the thing, it can pick up signals from pretty far away.
Tinfoil hats. That's right.
great.
Tinfoil.
That's
I'm
for
gonna
the government.
try
Ladies
that
and
when I get
gentlemen,
home.
you heard that on Nerdtastic in 3D. If you're having wireless connectivity issues, use a Pringles
Use
can.
a Pringles can.
I think
That's
there's
all you
more
need
to it, but I can't confirm. I think there's more to
you
it.
just stick a Pringles can on your keyboard and bam.
Well, I mean,
problem solved.
it's got to be on one side, whatever side the wireless card's on. Obviously,
Interesting.
Wait.
well, I'll jump to my setup. Currently, well, I won't say currently. I'll say when I had my most peripherals hooked up, I had 2 Xboxes, 2 Blu-ray players, like my media server, 1 extra hard line for a friend's computer in our guest bedroom, all hardwired. Apple Airport Express or Airport Base Station. And I was to the point where I was running 100-foot Ethernets, drilling holes in walls, running along everything because of just the reliability of it. I mean, Time Warner sucks balls. So,
and we don't realize how many things we actually do have connected because, if you do have cable, I know Jason has completely gone away from cable, and I've
never had it.
Yeah, and Adam's just too cheap to buy it. But
That's
no.
the way it started. But what we pay for internet now is like $80 a month anyway for the high. We pay for like 20 megabyte a second internet. So don't tell anybody, but I download a lot of stuff.
We won't tell anybody on YouTube.
As you pick up your educational copies. But yeah, I mean, I have my DVR because those have apps now, and you can download stuff because you used to put the phone jack in there and access it through the phone jack, and then they actually got Ethernet cables that you can actually hook up your DVR to. And then your TV, because your TV has apps now.
Yeah.
So you have so many things that you don't realize that you have plugged in. Because I'm like I said, everything nowadays comes with an Ethernet cable.
Yeah.
If your girlfriend buys a box of tampons, she gets an Ethernet cable. Like,
so
there's
she can
just
hook it up to the internet and
exactly
blog about it.
Yeah.
A lot of bandwidth.
Bandwidth, the Red Dragon.
Yeah. Oh man.
So what's interesting about the whole
Red
wired
Dragon.
wireless thing is, I have a newer home, and the whole thing is wired for network.
Yeah.
And to me, I thought in my mind that meant something really special, right? That means there's all this special voodoo behind the walls that's happening. It's not. It's just Cat 5 Ethernet cable that's run through the roof and down the walls.
Yeah.
I'm pretty amazed at the simplicity of networking. Now, it takes a little bit of know-how to knock off the male ends and splice those into actual female adapters for the walls, but I mean, still, it's really not that complex.
Well, and especially when you think of, anytime you're building a new home, to run those cables is pretty dang easy.
Yeah, especially in a new construction.
And so I literally this weekend, I'm switching rooms in my house, and I was like, okay, I want to kind of run. I'm gonna have to run the internet and the Ethernet cables into the furthest room away from where our cable box comes in. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll go down to the basement. So I crawled under our house, and we've got a house that's old as balls old. It's like the internet or the cable from the cable provider literally is stapled to the outside of the house, runs along the whole perimeter of the house, and then they've just drilled the hole in the side of the house, and it comes in. And it's like retrofitting old houses to that kind of connectivity is hard.
Yeah, it really is. We had a friend, a friend of mine at work, was trying to do that too.
Yeah,
do kind of the reconstruction thing. And a lot of times you have, the support beams going up and down. Well, he would have also ones
random
that went horizontal.
Yeah,
and so when you try to just run a line, because a lot of people get in their attic or underneath their house, and they'll just kind of run it through the walls that way. But when you're going down, you hit just a piece of wood. Yeah. You're just like, shit. Now what do I do? So,
yeah. It's we did. I remember Jason. We did it first at your apartment, but then at your house we hardwired your surround sound speakers.
Yeah.
And did away with even the wireless rear speakers.
Yeah, there was a thing. That was a big thing for me because I had the Rocket Fish $100 universal wireless rear surround sound speaker system. And it just, whenever it would get really intense, How to Train Your Dragon, the movie was a great example. When I popped that in the Blu-ray or whatever, during that test flight where he first hops on Toothless and takes, music was all big or whatever, the wireless rear speakers just would cut out.
Yeah.
So then we're just like, screw it, the connectivity's not going to be as good as if you just go wired. So yeah, I'm basically on a completely wired system myself. I do have a wireless network for guests and laptops and things like that, but pretty much anything and everything that I possibly can have wired is wired. Jack, what about you?
I have two takes on this. There's two types of people. There's your nerdy types, like the Nerdtastic Crew,
right?
Where wired is most effective, basically. For if you're gaming, like when I used to PC gaming, the connection between using wireless and using a wired connection could be 100 ping difference at times, depending on what's going on around you or who's on it.
Right.
So that was a huge thing for me. And also, if you're a nerd who does a lot of file transferring, meaning like what Adam does with a media server, where you're basically sending a lot of files across, from this computer to the TV there, and maybe somebody else is accessing it there, or you're sending movie files to another computer in the house. These are things that I do actually all through the week.
Yeah.
So for me, my old house I had, and even the new one, I've been lucky that the house was already pre-wired, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But like Jason said, I also have a wireless that we'll use occasionally for my laptop or the iPad or whatnot. But
Project
your other
Mayhem
type of person is your non-nerdy. technical person
Yeah.
or non-technical person in general.
Right.
They don't want the wires. They don't have to worry about running the wires. And basically, even if they bought a new home and somebody said it was wired, they probably still wouldn't know what the hell they were doing with it.
Yeah.
So to them, they want that instant whatever. And to be honest, the people I usually lump into this, and this is no shot at you, Jay, because I know you're not like this, are majority of the people who buy the Apple products, who want that
Absolutely.
simplicity of an Apple product. They want the same thing out of their internet. They want to be able to come home and the shit just work. They don't really care about speed. If they can get on the internet,
Yeah.
Yeah.
mission accomplished.
Right. That's the only priority.
Because a lot of times, too, like you were saying, Jack, when you go into a room, if you wanted to hook up multiple things, somebody not technical, I mean, if you see a plug in the hole, a plug in the wall that you can just plug in and plug right into your laptop, it's simplistic. No big deal. But when you have a room that actually has another receiver or DVR or TV that does be connected, you have only that one connection a lot of times. And then you have to hook up a hub, and then you have to run from that hub out, which case in point, why you need more Ethernet cables, because that stuff happens and you run out of them.
Yeah, and I would argue I'm definitely a frugal, conservative, financially conservative guy. So I would encourage people, rather than just go to Best Buy and buy a 6-foot, $12 Ethernet cable, go to some like wholesale supplier. Go to Fry's.
Monoprice.
Monoprice. Monoprice.com.
Yeah, but they even go a step further and don't just buy like an Ethernet cable that's already hooked up. Go buy some 100,
Literally
200-foot spool, and then splice your own male and female ends on it.
But you can do that. You can actually go to Lowe's or Home Depot and they sell those boxes.
they sell Cat
A lot of
5?
people probably
That's what I'm
don't even
talking
know
about.
you can do
Exactly.
that.
Get a box of like a spool of actual stuff, and then just connect just splice the connectors on there, and you'll save yourself a ton of money.
But
I do that with speaker cables, because speaker cables, you never know how long you're going to need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like throwing it out there though, for anybody that doesn't know, any kind of like peripheral like support stuff, Monoprice. Like literally, I looked it up yesterday. 100-foot Cat 5, $14.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, on the wired wireless subject, though, there are a lot of things in our homes, even though we prefer a internet connection that's wired, there are a lot of things in our homes that are, in fact, wireless. So
Microwaves.
I know for a fact, I don't believe your microwave would be wireless.
I bought that thing that randomly shows you a YouTube video based on your based on how long you're cooking.
Oh, that's right.
You're referencing our first episode here.
What up, throwback? Episode 1.
Episode numero uno.
Oh, good pull.
But let's talk about things that are in your home that you actually do prefer wireless. For example, I do not like my
iPhone.
Xbox controller wired in. Like, I don't like that connected. I like the freedom.
Yeah.
I feel like it throws off the weight when it's connected, when it's wired in. So that's something that I'm big on. Wireless headphones, I think that's another big thing, because this is a pain in the butt to have this wire.
I'm going to show you guys my setup of. Speaking of wired versus wireless,
Wired
see this
list.
right now. Can you guys see?
That's the rat's nest that is the Jack Geckler.
Wait, you
gaming
gotta
set.
wait for the camera to get
Hold
on
on,
you there,
Jack,
pal.
yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
hold
yeah.
it
Now
back
shut
up.
up
Come
again.
back. I didn't mean to cut
Here,
you off,
now.
Jason. It just had me
Go.
laughing.
Go.
So I put this on my head and wrap that around my neck.
Some kind of autoerotic asphyxiation going on.
Yeah.
But so what else? What are some things at home that are wireless?
Laptops, your iPads, any of those type of products that literally just don't have a spot to, if you had like a MacBook Air or something like that. I don't know. Can you plug?
Yeah,
I
the
think you
MacBook
can.
Air has an Ethernet.
Does it?
I can't do anything else.
Yeah. Well, but your
Those are
laptops,
fucking stupid.
your
phone.
iPads, your
You know,
phone.
you have a smartphone.
If
you
I
never
could plug
smartphones.
my iPhone into an Ethernet plug, I might though. Let's be honest.
You're gonna walk around with your 100-foot
Yeah.
handmade
Yeah.
cable.
I will say, like, I do a lot of like FaceTiming with the girlfriend, and I will still prefer to hardwire my laptop for that.
Yeah, for sure. That doesn't surprise me.
I'm sure you'd like to hardwire it.
Yeah.
Hey.
Wink, wink, wink.
Let's jump topics real quick. We're actually a couple of weeks behind on this one, but it's been on our list to talk about Walking Dead, the game. Traveler's Tales, TellTale games. TellTale Games, I believe is what it's called. We'll get that exact name for you.
Baby fish mouth.
They do a lot of episodic adventure games, and they are doing a Walking Dead video game, and they've put out a trailer for it. Adam, you've seen it. What do you think?
Trailer sounded okay, but a game based on a show that's about a bunch of people bitching and complaining and backstabbing each other sounds like a fucking soap opera video game. It sounds stupid.
Well, it's about zombies.
Oh yeah, big deal. It's a soap opera set in a post-apocalyptic zombie world, where, oh my gosh, I thought you were dead, so I banged your best friend. Ha, but you're not dead, but we've got our kid, and let's play a video game about that. No thank you, I'll play Assassin's Creed again.
So I will say, for me, I thought the story that they're trying to get across for the actual game, which is not part of the storyline of the television series, is actually touching.
Would you like to explain the story for people that don't know?
You're going to need to, because I didn't watch it.
So basically, it's just a single camera move through a home, and you hear an answering machine playing back messages, and it's this woman, and she basically goes, Clementine, this is Mom. We'll be, we're gone just for the weekend or whatever. We'll be back in a little bit. Hope you're doing okay. Hope you're having fun with your uncle or whatever it is. Something like that. And then beep, and then the next message hits up and says, Clementine, if you're hearing this, stay in the home and close the doors. Just trust me. We'll call back in a little bit. And then beep, and it's a really slow camera move. And then the last message is the mom just basically kind of crying and going, Clementine, I love you. I'm so sorry. We can't be there. And then just static. And so it's this really interesting idea. Basically, the story is about this orphaned girl who her parents have gone away on like a trip and left her with her uncle, and her parents have obviously died, and you find this out in the beginning. And so it's this orphaned girl in this post-apocalyptic zombie world. Now, I'm probably getting the details slightly wrong. I don't actually think she's staying with an uncle, but something happens. She's staying with a babysitter or something, but something happens where I believe you are the main character is this guy who stumbles upon this girl.
Good. Okay. I was going to say, let's be honest. How many of us really want to play a little girl?
Right.
Unless she's the little girl from Kick-Ass who kicked ass. I frankly don't want to play that game even more. But continue. I'm mildly intrigued.
It's basically that's the idea. Is you play this guy, and as far as I can tell, you're a loner, and you're basically just taking advantage. You're stealing weapons, you're stealing cars, you're just taking advantage of the fact that no one's around.
Stealing people's hopes and
then you stumble across this. I'm again sort of guessing here, but like an 8-year-old orphaned girl, and now you are this rebel that's all of a sudden faced with the emotion of trying to save this other creature. And I thought,
creature,
human. But
you have a daughter. Do you call her a creature?
Sure. That was awesome, by the way.
But so I thought that the level of depth that came across in even just the teaser really surprised me. To be honest, I haven't played any TellTale games. The episodic thing I'm not 100% sold on, but this came along and I thought, wow, I'm intrigued.
Here's a question, and this is always the argument can be said for trailers for everything. Trailers for a movie, trailers for a video game, like what you see and what you expect versus what's in reality. And I almost think video game, because it's all cinematics and it's very like those ones are very rarely actual gameplay. The what you expect versus what you get there's such a huge discrepancy in it. And
I'm really playing this camera thing up now.
I know, right? And so that's always a concern. Like this kind of we'll still talk about The Walking Dead, but the Bethesda. What did you send out? What trailer did you send out, Josh?
Oh,
where the trailer looks absolutely fantastic.
Like Twisted. I can't remember what the hell the name
But I mean,
was.
like that would be my concern because the trailer. I did see the trailer for The Walking Dead thing, and besides my joke about it being about a show that's a bunch of bitches, the trailer sounds awesome. I mean, and the trailer made it look awesome.
But that doesn't mean the game.
But that doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's the same thing that goes with people that cut movie trailers. They aren't the people that made the movie. It's some firm that you hired that's like, here's 30 minutes worth of footage, cut together something awesome.
Sure.
And so you'll have a trailer where it's like, holy shit, freaking, oh my gosh, what's the Colin Farrell, Alexander? No, Alexander. Where you're like, Alexander's going to be an action movie, and it's like, no, it's not. It's 3 hours. It's a drama. But the
or
people
Drive.
that cut it, or Drive. You thought it was going to be this driving movie, and it's a freaking art house gore fest. It's not. It's this very bizarre world where you have these people that are hired to strictly get buzz versus people that actually created it. And
so you have to approach this stuff with a little bit of wisdom, knowing that you're not necessarily going to get that at face value.
And it's so hard too because you'll see it and like literally those fucking Assassin's Creed people get me every damn time because I see it and I'm like, yes, and then I play it and I'm like, dang!
I fell for it again.
those suckers got me again.
Fool me once, shame on. Fool me, but you're not going to fool again.
My feeling on it is that it's, one thing to keep in mind is nothing has ever, no movie or TV show has ever translated into a good video game.
Oh, video game. I was going to say, no trailer has met.
TV show? I know that I've ever played a video game based on a TV show.
Well, I'm throwing it out there.
Lost via Domos.
Well, we have to also say that
I did play that.
Butt.
I did play that. Very true.
Susie
Jack's waving to the wall.
No, Susie and Dylan are right there.
I'm gonna give.
Bring them on the camera. Say hello.
Let's say hello to your daughter. Let the whole world see your daughter.
Come here, Dylan. Come here.
Your creature.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring her, as Jason calls her, the creature.
Yeah.
I don't call specifically your daughter. Don't say it. Your wife's going to hate me. So while the camera spins around, is Dylan coming over?
You've got a timing issue. You've got a window.
She squealed like a raptor and then walked away.
Creature! Creature!
Here she comes. Hold up.
Oh,
there she is.
The camera can't see it. Hold on. You got to hold her for at least one full rotation.
I'm going to point to the direction in which you're going to rotate to see Dylan.
Okay.
Hold on.
We're coming full circle. You ready?
Wave to the camera.
Wave, Dylan.
Dylan!
Hi.
Dylan!
And
Oh,
yeah, there she is.
Honorary Nerdtastic member right there. So, yeah, I hear you, Adam. I think you make a really, really good point, right? Like, there's not... you have to be very, very educated when you come to this. That's the thing, though. That's the thing. I think in the sea of oversaturation of publicity nowadays, anything that spikes above the rest to grab my interest, it's going to do exactly what it needs to do, which is get me more interested in the product.
And as much as you're like, I need to separate, it doesn't curb the fact that you got so initially excited for an idea from a trailer where it's like, yes. This is how I want it to be, and this is how in my head I expect it to be.
Right.
And then I go and see it, and I'm like, dang it.
Yeah.
And it could have
I want to bring up on that is...
Go ahead.
Josh, were you talking?
Go ahead.
It cuts out when you guys talk. I can't hear
No,
you guys.
Go ahead, Jack.
No, I was going to say the one thing I think in mind of, like, obviously Left 4 Dead did it right. It's got a big following. It plays really well. And then I think about the games that sort of come out after that to try to get to that point. And one of the ones I think comes to mind, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was called Dead Island that had that sick trailer. I mean, it had with the little girl trying to run, and it was this big
playing backwards or Memento or whatever. Yeah,
told in reverse.
And supposedly, and what I heard, and after watching it gameplay, the game sucked.
Yeah, I've heard that same thing.
Yeah.
So, on top of me thinking about how movies have failed as games, and then knowing this, in my eyes, I just wonder how much, how good can this game actually be?
Yeah.
Right. Hey, so Jack, you brought up something that's going to switch topics again here real quick, but you talked about Left 4 Dead. So that triggers into something that happened last week, I believe it was, which is Tim Cook, who's now the CEO of Apple, was spotted at the Valve software company up in Bellevue, Washington, who makes Portal, Left 4 Dead. And I think we've talked about on the show about Valve being interested in making their own console, basically, their own hardware. Or, we've had some conversation about that. So, interesting. What do you guys think that means? Why would the CEO of Apple, one of the most wealthy companies in the world, be meeting with this successful game developer?
Well, I will say, first off, we can go back one quick thing. The game is not based off of a TV show. It's based off of a comic. Then it goes to a TV show. Then it goes to a game. So a game is being based off a comic, just in case anybody.
Fine.
Anybody.
We got to be accurate.
So back to the now topic at hand.
Now topic at hand.
I know. Good call. Good call.
Valve, though, is not just as much as they are just. They make games and stuff like that, and then the rumor of the console thing. They also do things very well with their Steam accounts, and they're partnered with very many other big name video game companies and stuff like that. So they really got a really strong business,
beyond just game development.
Exactly.
I hear you.
Playing going and stuff like that. So there could be very many.
Is it going to be? I wonder if it's going to be like some kind of. I mean, it's like a Steam box where it's like it hooks up to your TV or whatever. Like
or maybe something like Steam and Apple are just trying to connect together so that your Steam games will then be connected with your Apple and your iTunes or something,
like
maybe
Game Center or something.
Exactly,
like that.
Something like that. It totally could be.
I'm going to take this a step further. I actually am going to speculate Apple, I think unintentionally got not only into the video game industry with mobile devices, they've actually become the premier mobile gaming experience. So there are more products from Apple in the mobile gaming market than there are Nintendo or Sony.
Wow.
So I'm actually speculating that, the video game industry is a multi-billion dollar a year industry. I'm speculating that Apple's next business move is to start slowly expanding into that market. And I actually think that that's going to be done through the Apple TV. I think that you're going to see that, maybe the future version of it meets a certain spec that they're working with Valve on, and that is actually going to become a streamable console, some kind of concoction. So
I
I
kind of
think
like the Game Now thing. What's it?
on live.
On Live, yes. Thank you.
Like something of that nature. Maybe even something you can download apps directly from an app store on, and you have a controller, and you can play, through this basically firmware only kind of thing, like a solid state little box. And I would not be surprised, because it sounds like, from what I've read, Valve is actually interested in something similar. Right? Here's a hardware spec for a very small console that anyone can make, that can be friendly, that basically runs Steam, but powerful enough to run these games. And I actually think mobile design in computers is getting to that point where we're going to get there really quick. And so I wouldn't be surprised if that's where that collaboration is actually going.
Well, the thing, though, too, is I don't think Apple so much is the front runner of, like, game design.
No, they're not. They're that's why I say unintentionally.
Accessibility,
they if you look at the mobile gaming market, the 3DS, the PSP or PS whatever the heck it's called,
shit.
Yeah, exactly. And Android and iPhone. iPhone actually has the highest amount of games, highest amount of quality games, and the furthest reach given that quantity and quality.
Android was beating.
Android has a further reach than the iPhone does, so there's more Android phones out there, from what I understand. But the quantity of apps is significantly lower, and the quality of apps is significantly lower. Or I should say, there's a lower quantity of quality apps, is a better way of saying it. Meaning that there's maybe less iPhones, but there's significantly more quality apps available for that market.
Okay, because I was going to say too, Adam can make a game. I can make a game. You can make a game.
I'm making a game.
And you're making your game.
In fact, we're going to pause here to announce something very interesting. You may or may not see a Nerdtastic in 3D iPhone game coming up at some point in time.
What kind of lead time are we thinking on this? Like, is this like 2014?
We're remaining big.
Mid-spring 2014 to 2019?
I think our collective goal here is that by our 900th episode that game would be completed.
I don't even want to do that calendar math. I don't know when that is.
Go ahead, do it right now.
No,
do it right now. You may or may not see a Nerdtastic in 3D iPhone game.
Before you die.
Yes.
Josh, you were saying.
I've effectively said nothing.
Exactly.
You may or may not see this sometime or not sometime. So, look out for it, or don't.
As I was saying, yes, we can all make a game and put it out there on the iPhone and stuff like that in the App Store. And like I said, I was just gonna comment on the fact of, I thought you were kind of meaning that Apple was, behind the reason why they're, they made this game and they have this game, and I was just like, no, they're basically just like a Sony TV, or I'm sorry, not Sony TV, but I don't know the equivalent. But anyways, it's something, they're a house and everybody else lives in it.
I think there's one thing you cannot argue, which is that there's been no company more successful in digital distribution for independent artists. I'm just going to call it artists than Apple. That whether that be music, you can record a song on the guitar and put it on iTunes. Whether that be, I'm an indie game developer, I'm going to create a quick little game and throw it up on the App Store. Apple has created access in a way that no other company has ever done. And I think that's one of the reasons that makes them the most successful. And again, while I go back to my original statement of, I think they unintentionally got into the video game market. I don't think it was like, hey, we're set out to make this phone an amazing game device. I just think it was like all these people who are interested in the video game industry, all these potential developers go, wow, now there's a chance to actually do this. There's a market and an availability and access to this medium.
Throwback,
I can agree with that.
Throwback, Android's 53%. This is as of end of 2011. Android is 53% and iPhone is 15%.
Of smartphones?
Yes.
Or cell phones?
Smartphones.
Okay.
You can't have an Android cell phone.
I was just going to say, yeah.
I don't know.
He's now telling you you can't.
Fair enough.
God, I wish my flip phone was an Android.
53 versus 15. That's
Jacko.
Valve and Apple already have a relationship to some extent. There's actually a featured section on Steam. Like I have Steam up right now just for Mac titles. So there was already a relationship established at some point to say, hey, we want to be able to offer these to people on Mac, and people with Macs could actually install Steam and have the same opportunity to get, all of the 10 games that are available on Mac. Besides that, though, from a business standpoint, I can see both companies seeing this as lucrative as all hell, because I'm sort of leaning now towards Jason's view of maybe their relationship, which is if I'm Steam and I look over at a company whose stock prices should be around $1,000 a share, that's the company I want to try to be involved with. And if I don't want to manufacture anything, I want to go to the company who manufactures things right at the moment, who has a design aesthetic and has the reach to a lot of people. So why not try to come up with some integration and say like, hey, maybe we don't use your app store for games. How about if we figure a way to offer Steam as the way for people to get their games on said new device?
Yeah.
Right. So here's what's funny about that, Jack, is I think you're right. I think it very easily arguable that Valve looked at Apple and goes, wow, one of the most valuable companies in the world. We need to get involved with them. That's not necessarily what the articles I heard were about. The CEO of Apple went to Valve. Now, I don't know if that means anything. It may not. He may have just been in the area.
Reached out or just traveled?
Traveled to.
Well,
maybe he's got
they're close to each other, too.
They're in 3 states away.
He's on the northern section
I think
of California.
I think it comes back to, though, what they do, though. I mean, they both do something separately very well.
Right.
Apple does designs of products very, very well in a different market than Steam does. Steam does their software and distribution amazingly well. Apple has never got into this billion-dollar business besides for what they sell in their app store. That's their first taste. And that's not even them doing it. That's just saying, hey, can guys put up some games on here and we'll sell them for you?
Right.
Yeah.
What's interesting, Jack, is there's actually some arguable competition there. Because if you go on the Mac App Store, there's tons and tons of games that are available through there that aren't available through Steam. You can get BioShock 2 on the App Store for like $40. You can't get that through Steam for the Mac that I know of.
Then again, would you... And actually, that's buying the game to play on your Mac at home or on your iPad?
That's playing on your Mac at home. That's the Mac App Store.
Okay.
The Macintosh App Store. So it's interesting. I mean, we could definitely speculate a lot, but it was an interesting thing that Tim actually went up to Valve to visit them.
Here's I can't remember if we've touched on this before with our 22 episodes and just countless wonderful topics we've done. But how serious are you about mobile gaming? Like the games that you play on your iPhone currently. Obviously, it's hard to know where it goes, and we actually all have iPhones. Our one non-iPhoner is actually not here. So sorry, Sean, you don't get to chime in at all. But all of us have iPhones, and it's what do you play? Like, I know Jason has downloaded the actual Call of Duty game, the Zombies. Didn't you download it? I downloaded it.
I did.
Is it still installed on your phone?
It is, but I don't ever play it.
Right. Like what? I mean, literally, what's the last game you played on your iPhone? Like, let's just go around.
Draw something.
Jack?
I literally just bought NBA 2K12, which I just want to stop real fast to talk about.
Okay.
Those
Game of the
games
year.
that you need controls of fingers or whatever else suck complete balls. Get this. I'm glad we're recording so everybody can hear this. They are fucking horrible. The graphics look great.
Yeah.
The gameplay on that
Miserable.
screen,
Miserable.
Now,
I don't know. I don't even know what the thought process is there, but it's horrible.
yeah, it's an interesting thing because you don't get a tactile feel. You know, when your finger is just on a screen controlling a little joystick UI element. You don't get that same feeling of like, wow, if I move my thumb a half an inch, he's going to move that much
and
further.
That's literally
that same nuance isn't
Not
there.
to mention, your thumbs are going to take up a third of the screen.
Yeah.
Like
That
when
was
you're
the
on
thing
here
I
and
ran
you're
into.
like, oh yeah, I want to dribble. Oh wait, hold on, I can't see where my guy was because my finger was on it.
We ran into that problem with game testing for Where's My Water.
Oh, so last game you played real quick before
true.
we digress too far into
Words with Friends.
Words with Friends. Draw something. So besides Jack, who loaded a game he didn't like. We all played
No, I like the game.
gameplay. You don't want to play it on your iPhone anymore, though, do you?
I guess there's probably people who are good at it, and I
Sure.
got talked into it from another friend, and
Yeah.
because I wanted to go Jason's route, but I wanted to just play something a little more comfortable to me,
Yeah.
or see how it played.
Yeah.
And it was 99 cents
Sure.
for a big EA title.
Yeah.
But to Adam's original question, you would not play that game again, correct?
Yeah, it's taking up space on my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I've downloaded a couple more serious attempts at games, but the ones that I gravitate towards, because I'm not a mobile gamer, I don't want to be staring at my 3.5-inch tiny screen to
Right.
hardcore game.
Right.
I play the puzzle. I play the little ones that you can play with somebody. The words with or the water. Where's my water? The ones that I can I play for 3 minutes while I'm taking a crap, and then I can put it away and I don't have to deal with it. Where
When you're deducing,
when I am deducing,
I have 35 games on my phone, and I've paid for one.
see, and that's the thing is it's like all this will to be said is I have never gamed on an iPad. And I think I can imagine that would be a completely different experience.
I watched the kid this weekend while Susie was trying on clothes. We were at the outlets. I'm sitting there luckily they had a bench at the old Banana Republic outlet.
Sure.
I sit down next to a kid who's on an iPad.
Yeah.
Jason, call it out if you know the name of this game, because I can't remember. I think it was called Gunslinger. It looked a lot like Red Dead.
it's Gunstringer, but that's not
Gunstringer.
available on the iPad.
It's somewhere he could get on and off a horse, and he could shoot and everything else. And it looked like Red Dead Redemption. The graphics were cool.
Wow.
Everything else. It was once again, even on an iPad, watching him trying to control this thing was making me just ill. I'm looking at him like, I'm sorry, kid.
Yeah.
That just looks miserable
Yeah.
to play.
So we're gonna move on slightly here. I want to touch on something that we brought up last week. So first of all, I love you guys. You guys are my friends. You're my family. I love you guys. And I am so incredibly proud of you guys. I really am.
I
So
don't even know where this is going.
last week...
It's gonna be a dig. It's gonna be a
I
dig.
love
He's
you
lifted
too.
us. He's raised us up.
No,
Oh.
not at all. Last week, I definitely went on one of my rants, and we talked quite a bit about indie game development. We talked about...
Oh, right.
We talked about how there's a whole slew of entertainment out there aside from blockbuster games, even like a side industry, you might argue, within the game industry. So I challenged you guys to actually go try and download a new small game. Give something a little bit of your time other than Call of Duty, other than Halo, something small, something that one person or two people maybe did. And I am so incredibly proud of you guys. So, Jack, why don't we start with you? What'd you download?
Everybody
I know we
did
briefly
something?
talk about this.
I told you I got the NBA 2K, but I wanted to tell you again, Jason. I took it a next step further, and I downloaded, and I'm on Josh on this one. It was free. Oregon Settler.
Is that like Oregon Trail?
Certainly sounds like a ripoff of it, but still so proud.
Whatever it is, it looked independent. It looked small, and I thought of you, Jason. That's all that matters.
It looked small.
And how was it?
Oh, and one other thing. I also, on a side note, non-Apple, today, John, one of our listeners, I'm not sure if Josh played this yet, but I downloaded a independent game for Chrome that actually plays in your browser, which is kind of awesome. It's like an RTS.
Right. What's it called?
Hold up, I have it up here. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, you've been playing it.
Jack's playing games while
Jack's
we
been
podcast.
gaming.
No, actually, I'm not gonna lie. I started playing it. And I'm like, that's just rude, isn't it?
Well, we can tell when you look at different things on your screen because the light changes on your face.
Damn it! I want to go back to
Busted.
It's called Air Mech.
Okay. Air Mech
It's in
on
alpha.
Chrome. It's an alpha.
and it's playing right now through my browser, and it looks damn good.
Cool.
Huh.
And it uses keyboard controls, so WASD to move around.
You're a WASD.
And the sound, you were talking about sound a couple weeks ago, and the sound's really good. It blows me away that this is in the browser, for one.
Yeah, there's some amazing stuff that's being done through HTML5 for sure.
Not the side tangent, but between this and like what it has done with Quake Live, which is basically free Quake that you play through your browser, that tech blows me away. But I digress.
So Jack, again, just incredibly proud. I mean, I think that's very cool that we gave a challenge, and
It's a
honestly
beaming father.
that you guys
It's a
stepped up to
big
it.
feat for me, by the way.
It is.
Exactly.
It is. I was not expecting. No offense, not expecting great things in that area, and you guys stepped up. Josh,
I wasn't able to really get on. I only actually played games last night for about an hour or something like that, so I didn't have a chance to actually play anything.
But did you download something?
No.
Oh, wow. So you can't be proud of all
I'm
of
actually, I'm going to take us down a step further. I'm with you. I actually didn't play anything, but I did download the demo to Fez, which I think I'll probably end up purchasing.
Okay.
But they have
I
a
actually
demo.
planned on doing that.
Yeah, so
the Fez demo,
But yeah, that's me. Adam, I know you.
This was a great story.
So I don't know if I don't know if I'm retarded.
Yeah. Yep.
Or I threw all sage advice that you guys gave, where you're like, you find some reviewers that you trust and you go with what they say, and
You ask your friends.
you talk to your friends, or literally I just do whatever the hell I want, even though it's stupid. But I saw a video forever ago of that I Am Alive.
like 3-4 years ago, right?
Forever. I don't know
Yeah.
how long ago it was, but I remember thinking, oh, shoot, that looks awesome. And it literally popped up. I bought $50 worth of Xbox Live credit or whatever. I was like, I'm going to do this. Let's go find some shitty, cheap games. And literally it popped up on the first page. And I was like, well, this is out? Bye. Downloaded it, played about a minute and a half, and I was like, crap. Done it again. I've gotten some stupid, go over here and get this. Go back here and get this. Go here and do this. Oh, I'm sorry, stamina's running low. You better eat a piece of fruit. Holy shit. So
This game, just FYI, for people that don't know, it was rated, I think, on IGN as like a 3.0.
hey,
out of
4. It got a 4.
4.
Yeah.
What
All
game?
I was selling it short.
I Am Alive.
I'm alive. Let's give it a little bit of backstory. This is a game that was announced at E3, I believe 2009, if I'm not mistaken. And it was supposed to be a blockbuster major thing from Ubisoft, first person or third person kind of survival, very much
Post-apocalyptic.
I am a legend kind of a feel. And this game apparently had incredible production problems along the way, and basically sank down to an Xbox Live game. Now, we talk about trailers and their draw earlier in the conversation. That was a trailer that hooked everybody, and people were just
looked
constantly
fantastic. It really
waiting.
did.
And so Ubisoft really dropped the ball because, Adam, to your point, every reviewer that I know Josh and I checked out,
I know, I read them.
I was planning on getting that game. Honestly, the week it came out, I was planning on getting it. What do? I go and I check the sites. Oh, it got a 4 from IGN.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass on it then. No thanks.
Here's the funny thing is it's like my ability to ignore the common sense of that stuff, because in my head I want it to be so good.
Right.
I do that.
The
and
best part, though, is not just did you hear advice, you were a part of a conversation.
Absolutely.
In a podcast about
Here's the thing.
that whole
Here,
topic.
I won't lie. I wasn't in, without making it sound like I'm an alcoholic, I wasn't 100% sober when I got it.
Okay.
I won't lie.
Okay.
I also downloaded Trials again. I don't know. I didn't know you could do that. I
And
thought
there's Trials 2.
that's not out yet. I was
Is it-
super excited, and I spent about a minute and a half trying to click on it when I realized it didn't come out till today. But I will say, this is just the thing that I can't honestly think that there was a group of people that were all just like, we've done it, guys. You guys collectively, we have done it. Or was it all of those people at that game going, let's just finish this piece of shit and get out of here? Like, honestly, it's like 4:30, and normally we go home at 5, and just finish the thing, and let's just go. Honestly, roadblock there, one way to go. Let's call it a game. You know, and it's like, literally the mechanics are climb, pull out a gun. You rarely get bullets, and so your big tactic is intimidate. Like, you're just like, get back, and then someone's like, no. And then they come at you and literally, you right trigger. It's like such a stupid thing.
It was so funny to watch the video too, where it's like a guy would hold up a gun and it's just like, "I'm sorry, man. I don't want any problems."
Yeah, let me back up to this huge cat.
And he backs away, and then he puts the gun down, and the guy basically forgets that he has a gun and goes like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you!" And
holy shit, you've still got the gun.
Yeah, then you pull out the gun. "Oh, I'm sorry, man. I don't want any trouble. I'm just trying to." You can do that all day long, and
it's like, and you do the stupid stuff where, like, you're climbing and you're fatiguing like really quick, and it's like, what the F, guy? Like,
so I just wanted to conclude with, I'm incredibly proud of you guys, and I think if you guys would agree with me here, I think we may have birthed something really a tradition that may be carried out.
I don't like calling it birthing.
Oh, we did.
Let's not do that.
Can we birth and play Worms?
We're gonna need
all together?
a midwife next episode.
Yeah, I love Worms.
What we're gonna do. And Adam, I actually give you credit for this because you really came up with this as a joke, but we're going to do it. We're actually going.
Good job.
We're actually going to have a Nerdtastic in 3D weekly challenge. So I challenged weekly. So I challenged these guys last week to
real busy.
I challenged them last week to check out an indie game somewhere, whether that's the App Store, Xbox Live Arcade, somewhere. Check out an indie game. So they're not all going to be winners. I'm not going to lie. Some are going to be big. Some are going to be smaller. We're going to go a little smaller this week. I'll tell you in a second. And then we're going to build up to something hopefully a little bit bigger next week. Now, here's the thing. For anyone who out there is listening, we actually want to extend these challenges to you as well. So obviously we're going to talk about how we stepped up to the plate and answered the challenge here on the show as your hosts, but we also want to hear feedback from you guys on how you did it.
Don't download I Am Alive.
Is that just your sage advice? So
listen to me.
So this week, like I said, we're going really, really simple this week, and next week we'll step it up a notch. But this week, my challenge to you guys, and they won't all come from me, don't worry, is I want you to
I got some ideas.
I want you to remember back to when you were kids.
Done. Challenge completed.
That's it. That's it. Save your stories for next week. Remember back to when you were a kid and think of your favorite cereal. A cereal I'm guessing that for your adults listening, you actually haven't had in quite some time. And I want you to go out and buy a box of that cereal and have some cereal.
I like that.
Is it not fair if I live that dream every day?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I gotta lie. I mean, I won't lie. If I could have cereal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I would.
Right.
And sometimes I do.
Here's the key.
Fills me up.
Here's the key.
It's not enough. I gotta have like
I have the man.
I love you, man. Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
The giant bowl.
Giant like one box of cereal is.
I
my
have
bowl.
the man's complimentary cereal bowl.
Wow.
Where on the rim, it's like, you're handsome. You're blah, blah, blah. It's got all these kind of things
It's
saying
not the
about
free.
how I'm awesome.
It's not what you didn't mean complimentary like it was free.
No,
this
this is giving me compliments. And then when you drink all the milk at the very bottom, it just says you rule.
So the challenge over the next week is very simple. Go out, buy a box of your favorite childhood cereal, whether that be Cookie Crisp to Cinnamon Toast Crunch or anything in between. Try it out. Like I said, simple this week, and then we're going to step it up a notch to something more interesting next week. But we want everybody to chime in and let us know what you...
Yeah, go to the Facebook page or our website and comment in what you guys are
eating. You get extra points if
with...
there's a picture of you eating it.
Yeah. We might have something for you.
Should we start doing like gamer score? Like you can get Nerdtastic achievements.
Yeah, achievements.
I like it.
They will go later today. They will link in with our may or may not happen Nerdtastic game. They may or may not apply later to something that may or may not exist later.
Right? They may
Just wrap your head around that one. Let the wheels spin as you're listening to that.
There's like a whole bunch of double negatives.
I'm waiting for the week that I would get to throw out the challenge of you need to get so drunk you forget your name.
Now, hold on.
This week is the Punch a Hobo
Let's
week.
come up with a couple of ground rules.
Oh, Jason, don't you
No,
do that to me.
no,
Don't you do
no
that.
ground rules. No ground rules.
These ground rules should be doable by everyone.
Sure, everybody can punch a hobo.
I would put my daughter through that, Jason. Don't judge.
Don't help. So help me God, I will.
Yeah.
She will forget her name.
All right.
Your creature will be okay.
Yeah,
My
your creature.
I love you guys. We actually have a couple of listener questions that we wanted to actually
It could be
jump on.
users. I feel like they use it.
Honorary Nerdtastic in 3D member X Sinister sent us something that we had to mention on the show. I don't know who wants to take this one. Jack, do you want to do the honors?
I could. Luckily, Josh was there last night to hear this live.
God, I already forgot
this
what
is
we
the
were talking
craziest thing. I thought he was making something up, but we were playing Modern Warfare 3 last night, the group of us, and he chimes in with this story that this
It's in the
family
news.
was arrested. It turns out after reading the article in Brazil for basically calling up babysitters to come to the house, killing them, cutting their bodies up, eating parts, and then the parts that they didn't eat, they chopped up to make empanadas that they sold to the neighborhood.
Holy.
So here's
what's-
the question I
Sure.
beg to
Okay.
people
The
here.
weekly challenge, if you will.
Weekly challenge.
No, that is not a weekly challenge.
Jason, you didn't make up this rule. Josh, continue. The forum is yours.
Thank you, sir. My thing was, how would you feel?
If I
What is your initial reaction if you were one of the neighbors and you just realized for the past 6 months I have been eating people? How would you feel?
it's just
Adam?
it's so hard to know because I don't know what goes into Taco Bell a lot of the time.
Yeah.
You know,
Denial is a beautiful thing.
ignorance is bliss, and if frankly those empanadas were tasty, I mean, I don't know what kind of spices they were using, or
You put it in a Dorito shell. I'm eating.
yeah, you know, honestly, if it's got volcano sauce drizzled on it, yeah, I might take a nibble.
Volcano sauce. It would ruin my day. It would ruin my week.
What if it was like a Friday though?
I like
It's
how you pushed
only-
it from a day to a week.
It
But,
would-
like, here's
it
my
would-
question:
It
like,
would
is
ruin my month.
Is it a
Maybe
calendar
a year.
week? Would it ruin your calendar week,
Yeah,
or
for-
for 7
bus-
days would it ruin it?
Yeah, a business
What-
week.
Hold on,
Like,
what's
so-
the difference between a calendar week and 7 days?
So if I found out on a Friday
Yeah.
that this happened, would I be ruined until Sunday when the week was over, or
A full
would it be
7 days. A
Oh,
full
see, I
week.
think it would just be a calendar week for me.
No, but seriously,
I feel you.
it would really ruin me. Like that would.
I don't know.
Here's a crazy story. The ending Jason was telling me is Sinister was saying was that the neighbors basically were so distraught
Sure.
and Jason mortified that they burnt the fucking house down
With the people in it,
just to get rid of anything related to that house being in the
they
neighborhood.
taught him a lesson and ate them, but not in an empanada. And what are those?
Flautas?
A flautas, or maybe some kind of chunga, a chimmy, if you will.
It might go down easy.
Maybe a tamale. I don't know.
I just can't believe as soon as they hauled them off the jail, they just lit
They were
the
just like,
bitch on
fuck
fire.
this
and burned
place.
it.
Did the town not wonder where all their babysitters went?
Exactly.
Like, did the town not go?
I guess the story said like I guess after reading the one I found or we had linked to, I guess it was only 3, but supposedly they'd done this a lot more.
Yeah, they probably had out of town babysitters. You just can't deplete a small Brazilian town of all their babysitters.
Negative. They are hard
How
to
do
come
we know
by.
it's a small Brazilian town?
I don't know. In my head, when I'm visualizing the human empanada,
Honestly,
it's
I'm
kind of
thinking like right in the middle of the favela.
right.
That's
a
what I-
shanty
that's how I
town.
envisioned it, Jason,
Favela
when I
is
read
not
the article.
necessarily. I'm not a favela, but I'm not thinking like it's like a 40,000 plus favela. It's like maybe like 1,000 to 2,000 people.
I just like that we use the word favela.
With it's kind of like an outlying
a great
farmland
map. Love
that
that map.
that helps service the human empanadas with their whatever you make
Exactly,
empanadas
Josh, exactly.
out of.
I like this.
That's all I get from Josh is a thumb in my screen.
This is Joshua approved. So another listener wrote into us and
An
asked.
easy segue from human empanada.
I know there's really. Let's be honest. What segue is there from human cannibalism here? Like,
Centipede.
I don't think there really is a good segue. So a listener wrote in and asked us, I think last week we talked about games that we were most looking forward to in 2012. And I think this user is alluding to 2 that we may have overlooked, and he wanted to know what we thought if we were looking forward to Diablo 3 and GTA 5, Grand Theft Auto 5. What are your guys' thoughts? Adam, let's start with you.
I honestly can say I don't know the Diablos. I've seen the trailers for I think maybe 2, however long ago that came out, and it looked cool. But are those what kind of games are those? Doesn't matter. I haven't played them.
Oh,
so Grand Theft Auto have
RPG.
okay.
RPG?
Puja.
RTS?
Whatever. I'm not going
Well,
to
it's a mixture.
yeah,
of like
it's a
RPG.
mixture of-
Honestly,
Yes, kind of
It's like if
Honestly,
you've ever. It's kind of a pseudo. The superhero one, the Marvel superheroes.
City of Heroes.
No,
where they
City
fight
of
each other.
Villains.
It's not like this, where it's not a
No,
one-on-one.
It's like 3/4 top
Marvel
down.
universe.
No, it's a cooler version of Gauntlet.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's the best
I
way
like
to put
that.
it. I mean, it's just a new version of Gauntlet.
So, considering my propensity to play new games, probably won't play that. But Grand Theft Auto, I think I have purchased and played all of them, and I think I get consistently more disappointed with them. Where you always start. I mean, because like any of those games, and Jason can attest, that have like a completion, you've completed 100%. Grand Theft Auto is one of those ones where I have honestly never. One Vice City. I did 100%. I had a strategy guide. I was online. I found all those
guide.
fucking random things that you find and
The
all
ramps,
yeah, all the jumps, all the blah blah blah, and it was
All the pizza delivery missions.
whatever. Yeah, like I did it, and it took forever and was not satisfying.
Right.
But that aside, you play those games and you play through the story, and they're fun, and each one kind of opens up the world to something slightly different without really blowing you away. The games where it's like all of a sudden you can fly a plane, yeah, but kind of sucked. Like, it wasn't great. And sure, you could jump out and skydive, but it kind of sucked.
Right.
And it wasn't great. And then, I will say, when they got motorcycles in Vice City, that was awesome. And that was so cool. And when the world expanded like that, that was awesome. But, like with San Andreas, when it was like you could work out and you could change your clothes, and it was like, wah, wah. And
You
then
could have a hot coffee mod. Anyone remember that?
is that where you could show the boobies?
It was like a mini sex game.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like the internet just is a lot better at that stuff.
100% agree.
Than Grand Theft Auto. But that aside, I mean, it's just this may be the one that I don't buy because they just are so much the same thing, and it's like they've done Russian, and they've done kind of the gangster urban, and they've done the Vice City where you were like the
It's a
80s drug lord.
yeah. Jack just froze.
it's like you're gonna like those kind of games. You know what I mean? It's the same kind of mentality.
You literally froze, and I don't know what you said.
Yeah, we picked up about half of your sentence.
Yeah.
I was just saying, to me, it's a modern day Skyrim.
Yeah.
It's if you like those roaming environments where
Yeah.
you could choose to do something, choose not to do it. You know what I mean?
But like I've tried to beat up hookers in Skyrim, and it's hard. It's hard to find them.
I'm with you. For me, the Diablo franchise is something I've just never been into. I think we talked about this briefly, but I've played Diablo 3. It was down at Blizzard, and I got to check that out, and it was fun, but not necessarily my cup of
Sure.
tea. So I won't be purchasing that one. Grand Theft Auto, I'm very much with you, Adam. Like, I think that there's been some big successes in that realm. I think Vice City for me is definitely a win. I even would argue GTA 3 was
That was
fun.
a game changer for sure.
I think there's been some real winners in there, and I think there's been some losers. And for me, I agree. San Andreas was like, wow, it's a huge world, and there's something cool about that. But there was so much junk I just didn't want to have to deal with.
And that's not being racist at all.
right.
No.
And then the same thing with GTA 4, which I bought, and I just wasn't feeling the whole Russian storyline.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I will say. I do like the idea behind, like, the concept of Grand Theft Auto.
Absolutely.
What I don't like is the worlds that they're setting them in. So what I want to see... now, I guess to answer the specific question, I'm going to wait and see what the theme is more about GTA 5. It looks like it's kind of a white suburban dad that's kind of trying to get away from a life of crime, from what I understand, and that has some intrigue to me. However, what I want to do is I want to play a Grand Theft Auto that's all takes place during the Prohibition, where you have to smuggle in moonshine alcohol from Canada and something that's really themed, like 30s gangster or something.
Yeah.
Well,
Mix LA noir with Grand Theft Auto, and you could have something genuinely.
But they are
really
relatively
cool.
the same. So, the thing I wanted to say is, Grand Theft Auto 3 came out like you said, it was a game changer.
Yeah.
You know, you had this open world thing. You had this more kind of adult
Suddenly,
content.
you're not staring down at the top. You're actually in it. And
Exactly. You know,
significantly
you have
more
this
immersive.
great open world sandbox type of thing. Very great, very immersive. Next one comes out. It's still kind of the only one of its kind.
3. Did they go 3 then Vice City?
Yes.
3, then Vice City. Vice City then took it, as you said,
Just San Andreas.
to a theme. But it was like an 80s theme. You know,
Right.
it was
Yeah.
Miami
The,
Vice.
the music
essentially.
on the radio stations
that music was killer
accented
in
that
Vice
theme.
City.
Yeah.
But
I think I had the
once
soundtrack.
that came out, and San Andreas did, that opened up more games. So then there was, I'm still trying to think.
Oh, like
time-
Liberty City
time-wise
stories
frames.
and jazz like that.
No, what I'm saying is there was, what was the driving one where you get in and you had to drive, and it was like super detailed for LA.
Saints Row's based on it as well.
Saints Row. There are, then you had Red Dead, Red Dead Redemption. You have Mafia. You had Godfather. Your 30s thing, the Mafia one. Mafia
LA
came out.
Noir.
No,
there's
just called
Mafia.
Mafia.
It's just
No,
called
it's
Mafia.
called Mafia,
But
yeah.
the thing, like the problem with that is, you had cars that were from the 1920s that would max out at a top speed
Yeah.
of 15 miles an
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
So when you had to get across the city,
Yeah, you're like,
it
this
took
is
you 2
awesome.
hours to do it.
Yeah.
Same thing with Red Dead.
Yeah.
You're
Oh,
on a horse.
Fuck the horses.
You're on a horse, and then you have to ride across a mountaintop. And
I
I'm
just
sure it's
shoot
the
my
same
horse.
way with Skyrim. I didn't play that. But there's so many of those types of games now that have flooded the market because they are appealing. This whole open world thing. What was that Super Cop one? That
Crackdown.
Yes, thank you. Cracked. I mean, so many of these things that just do. It wasn't necessarily you had to get out and bang a hooker and steal a car and stuff like that. There are many different types of scenarios, but that whole open world thing. Now,
Done and done.
Yeah.
Check. And I got my money back.
But Josh, I would argue that yes, while there have been many, many open world kind of games of that kind of genre, there's nothing that's been as tight, as complete as the Grand Theft Auto games.
I would kind of disagree, but I would say that Grand Theft Auto has the name.
yeah.
It's just like EA's and Madden. Madden, as years go by before it didn't, wasn't that great. But it's still going to sell millions upon millions of copies because they've built a name. They've built a reputation.
Built a franchise.
With movies. Pixar has made a name for themselves. They can put out crap. It's still going to make a shit ton of money.
They're going to have like a run of like a handful.
exactly,
Like Grand Theft Auto's going to have to tank for like 4 titles
Yeah,
in a row
and,
before people will be like, all right, maybe this Grand Theft Auto thing's done.
For what those games are, they've been reviewed really well. And I mean, they do what they do well. When it comes to those things, they've been reviewed well. But to me, I'm over that. I've experienced it. It's been nice. Like, for me, I'm at the point in my life or video game career, if you will, where it's like, I like my story and I like it to continue. I don't want to sit there and it's like, travel over here for your next mission. And then I have to waste my time. It's like, no, just stick me there and tell me go. And I will do my mission when I'm done. Exploring is not necessarily my cup of tea.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
But that's interesting because that's definitely something that very much appeals to me about video games is exploring environments that are interesting. Now, maybe that's part of why I don't particularly like the San Andreas and New York in GTA 4, is I didn't find those environments all that interesting.
And whether or not it's interesting or not, to me, it's just there's too much exploration.
Right.
Sometimes those things. It's like, especially in 4, where you had multiple storylines. Where it's like you go down this thing and it's you do a mission and it'll obviously, I like the idea of it affecting further missions, where if you kind of align yourself with this person, it's going to make it difficult for you to get stuff over here. But it also makes it hard when you're like, but I kind of wanted to play those and see what happens. It's like you can't. It's like and the replayability for me isn't there to go through all of the crap to get to that fork in the road.
Definitely. I mean, that's a big thing. That's a staple of the Mass Effect franchise, right?
Yeah.
You will make decisions that shape your gameplay, and you'll want to go back and go, wow, I missed entire portions of this game because I affected the story. But then it takes 6 weeks to go through a game, and you're like, no, thanks.
It's like the time spent. I think each iteration of the GTA series, I've done less and less of the actual storyline.
Yeah,
because you just want to get through the game because the gameplay is still eons of hours that
yeah,
you
and so
that you
literally,
go
I
into.
mean, like the amount of time spent just rampaging and see if I get 5 stars and see how far I can go versus time spent on storyline.
See if you can get a tank.
Yeah, it's just like it's whatever ridiculousness it was tanks. It was you want to get in the FBI Hummer and you want to just see what kind of chaos you can do, but there's not the consequence of any of that. So it's like, and I'm just gonna turn it off. I'm done.
Yeah.
I didn't get back to my hotel and sleep so I could save the game.
Right. Jack, what about you? Any thoughts?
I think. Well, what he's touching on there, to me, to some extent, it makes those kinds of games sort of in a weird. I'm gonna say this in a weird kind of way, like timeless for the length of a console.
Yeah.
Because for me, when I had the PS2, Vice City I played it nonstop, and the beauty of that game, to me, it was sort of like was how the Tony Hawks are.
Yeah.
You could walk in, play it for 30 minutes and then leave, and never feeling like there's stuff always to go back to. Always.
Yeah.
you definitely get your money's worth.
I remember
That's what it is. You get-
skipping school
and they really
when Vice
do give
City
you your
came
money's
out.
worth.
I remember skipping school when Vice City came out.
See, I spent the most time I think
As
on
far
San
as
Andreas.
Diablo goes, a funny story with that. My old roommate loved the Diablo series and had a Mac, and that was one of the few games that you could, at the time, Diablo 2, you could get on a Mac. And we had an office set up in Orlando, and he'd be next to me. He's like, dude, you got to get this, to the point of he finally bought it for me. And he's like,
wow,
you got to play now. Him and another friend literally rushed me through the entire world in like an hour to the very last thing. And like, okay, dude, we're going to hurt this thing to the very last second, and you need to kill it and get all this loot, and we'll just rinse and repeat. And I'm like, this isn't fun to me.
Leroy Jenkins.
It's one of those things that it's beautiful. The Diablo series has some of the best cutscenes ever.
Blizzard is
so if you
synonymous
ever
for
get a
that.
chance to just watch the cinematics for any kind of Diablo game, they're just out of control. But I also, this time around, I have a sort of grudge with Blizzard. One of my good friends had left EA, who was part of the RTS team, and got a job at Blizzard to work on Diablo. And him and his team were part of the group that Blizzard decided to say, yeah, we're done. We don't really need you guys anymore.
Oh, bummer.
That's not that cool.
Yeah.
But and he
That's
was really
never-
stoked. He had just hit a point where he'd been over a year, and they had given him technically what's staff at Blizzard, so he thought he was nice and secure, and not so much.
Yeah, that's never good when companies do big layoffs like that. Hey, so we need to start to bring this show to a close, but before we do, Josh, I know there's one more listener question that your office mate, compadre, wanted to bring up. So let's touch on that, and then we'll bring this sucker to a close.
Basically, it's just a quick little topic, just to get your guys' opinion. With comics, movies, TV shows, you get a very high-profile named artist. Someone to draw, the equivalent, saying, just for conversation's sakes. A lot of people know Todd McFarlane. Is like, from Spawn. He was the guy that did Venom and created that. Does lots of statues and toys.
Yeah.
But,
Spawn.
he's synonymous for Spawn. And
thank you, Jack.
He just said that. He literally just said that.
I'm not lying. I can't hear you guys when I talk. That's all
Yeah,
I'm
no
saying.
worries. No worries.
But you get somebody saying that, I'm going to do this comic run. I am going to, do the art for it, and you're just like, oh my god, yeah, I'm such a fan of yours. You get in about maybe 6 issues, and you pass the buck. Same thing. Say you're a big,
build the following. And
yeah,
then
you build
move
the
on.
following. You have a big time director, to do something, and he knocks the ball out of the park on the first movie, and obviously you want him to do the second one, and doesn't do it. TV show, you sit there and you have
J.J. Abrams.
J.J.
and Lost.
Abrams doing Lost, and you have this great first episode, this season that's just this series that you're just, oh my god, and then not to knock them, but what's his name, Damon Lindelof,
Yeah.
and those guys, they definitely built a name for themselves as well. But what captured you, J.J. Abrams is the name that got you, and then gone.
Yeah.
So it's.
They set it up and then they leave, basically.
Yeah,
They go set up the
and it
next
was his
thing.
kind of little rant where he's just like, I'm angry because we just found out, again, that a comic he was reading that, was no longer going to be done, that he was specifically getting for the artwork.
Well, and I think this is an interesting one specific for comics, because comics the artist puts so much style into
Exactly.
a comic, and the story that you're taking in is dictated so much by that style. And so in the middle of a story like this, a comic book is an ongoing storyline, right? So in the middle of your story, if the style changes, it's almost as if the story is changing, and it's jolting, and
it
it's
takes you out of
disorienting.
the world and stuff like that. And same thing too, a little bit with movies too. Like I said, with the director, like who's the guy that directed the Hunger Games?
Yeah, he's not going to do the second.
Yeah,
one.
he's not going to do the second one. I mean, that is off of scheduling conflicts because of him and the the
He
actress.
always wants to do something different.
But I mean,
I don't
he had
know
his
if
own
that's a
style.
bad
too.
thing with him.
No,
That's just my opinion.
not that I either. But it's just like that's what was like. Oh, we have this tag. This director tag to it. It'd be kind of the same thing. Like if Michael Bay, not saying he's a fantastic director by any means and stuff like that, but him to do this Transformer franchise, and all of a sudden he's done the first one, he's done the second one. Now the fourth one is Jim Smith, and this is his second movie, and his first movie that he did was Booty Tang, or something.
Booty Sweat?
or something like
Bootylicious?
that. Yeah,
Love that
Tropic
series.
Thunder.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
like that. There it is. There it is. I'm glad somebody caught that.
But have you guys ever had that experience of?
I'm not and this is literally because I just don't know. Is it? Could you've been shown like a pain of Todd McFarlane? I'm guessing people obviously can, but like shown a pain of Todd McFarlane's Spawn, and then the guy that took over, and it's like a dramatic. Is it? Okay.
Because that person is hired for their style,
Right?
and
a style.
there are also
But they don't hire somebody that like who can draw as close to Todd
and
McFarlane
that's what
as they can.
what some people do. There's an artist named Jim Lee, and he's a fantastic, phenomenal artist and stuff like that. But when you're hired at a school and stuff like that, it's just like, well, can you draw like Jim Lee? And so they're searching for people, which also, I mean, it's good if you like that, but it's also kind of shitty because you have somebody who may have a talent to do something else, and you're being pigeonholed because
Right.
this guy.
Yeah, you're good at copying him. So that's what you're gonna
Stifling
do.
originality and creativity, basically.
Definitely.
For me, you brought it up. Lost was an interesting one. I think that was really touted as a J.J. Abrams project. Now, the slight difference there is that J.J. directed the pilot, and I don't know, to be honest, if in the first season of Lost I noticed a difference between, say, the pilot and the third episode, which is directed by somebody different. I don't know that was something that really stood out to me. Now, I will say I think J.J. has a tendency for television shows to get involved in an original idea and then hand that idea off to other people who then don't see it through the way that I think JJ could, and that's disappointing. That's why I think you see Alias and you see Lost. This is just my opinions, but being slight disappointments over the course of the series.
Well, there's interesting things like the Harry Potters had, I don't know, 4 different directors, 5 different directors,
4 or 5, yeah,
and
yeah.
The stories were different enough, and it never felt like you
to
notice
me-
style. But
to me, that's a touchy one because I think there was so much of that world that was predefined by one author, and those books were so beloved that it's not like a director could really dramatically change the style.
You don't reinvent.
And in addition to that, you had the same producing staff, right? The same producers.
What were you going to say, Jack?
I mean, I have 2 examples of where it's funny. It actually went the other way for me.
It went better?
One on the movie side is, and I anybody who's into the series probably can arguably agree, was the best move potentially when Lucas decided not to do Empire Strikes Back, which was done amazingly well the second time, and then unfortunately he went back for Jedi, but Empire is an amazing film. And then for me, comic-wise, it's, we go back to him, but my favorite artist at the time was when McFarlane got brought on to do the series with Spider-Man and with the Hulk. And up until that point, I felt both those characters in comic book world were very flat, and McFarlane's style at the time was uber detailed. So Spider-Man looked that much stronger, and the Hulk looked how I had always envisioned the Hulk to look, where you could just see 1,000 muscles. It wasn't just big daunting lines of muscles. There you could see every little vein, everything, and I thought he added so much. So to me, the ones before, it was like, oh, that's okay. He came on, it was awesome, and then it was that sense of sadness when he became bigger than.
And it
his
draws
ego
you away, and
became
you're
too
like,
big
oh,
and he
I
walked
really don't
away.
want to pick this up anymore.
Yeah.
So we should probably start to wrap this up.
I don't want to pick this up anymore.
I do, though, however, want to mention that Jack, Empire Strikes Back is the worst of all the Star Wars movies.
Whoa.
And
Son
that's
of a
coming
bitch.
from a true nerdtastic nerd.
Wow.
And
Wow.
feel free to write in on how much you disagree with that statement. So clearly, this is
I'm going to get messages from Derek tomorrow threatening your life. I just want you to know.
Bring it on, Derek. But clearly, we love to hear from you guys. We will definitely talk about anything that you guys think is worth discussing. This has
It
been
makes our life easier, so we don't have to think about shit.
It does indeed. So please remember the weekly challenge is to go get your
I already forgot it.
your favorite childhood cereal and consume that again this week and
The entire box.
in one sitting.
Oh no,
That's
just
not
a
part
week.
of it.
Just
That's
a
not.
week.
And
Calendar week?
exactly calendar week.
7-day week. Podcast to podcast.
And we will be back next week with a new weekly challenge, something that hopefully will be pretty dang good. And
I'll be back in the studio.
Yes, Jack will be back,
But the
and
rest
hopefully
of
we'll
us
have
will be
Sean.
gone.
right, it'll be just Jack and a bunch of laptops. So thank you so much for listening. This has been episode number 22 of Nerdtastic in 3D. My name is Jason Carter.
I'm Josh LeBrot.
This isn't going to work, but
I
I'm
know.
Adam McFarlane. And
As it spins around in a long time, we are going
Oh,
to...
God bless it. Get to me, camera.
I'm Jason Carter.
again.
Go full circle.
Hurt, go!
I'm Jack Eckler.
Yay!
Hey.
Thank you so much for listening, and we're out.
Peace!
Nerdtastic in 3